What's up, guys? It's Chad from the Dorky and 40 RC channel. Sorry that it has been a while, but we have been doing a ton of racing, off-road, and a lot of oval. So we've got buggy videos that are coming up. We finally TQ'd and won our race, even though we've crashed out and after TQing a few times. Very frustrating, but it is what it is. We had a huge race this weekend up at NorCar RC Raceway, part of the Hooters RC Chassis Outlaw Tour. So we ran the sportsman truck there. We had some bad things, we had some good things, and some not okay things. So we'll be talking about that. But what we're going to talk about today, of course, is Losi NASCAR. We had a two-day event between our local track and up at NorCar RC Raceway. And we basically ended up getting second in Losi NASCAR and second in Tamiya TT02, which, by the way, I'm still going to definitely going to get back into more TT02 racing because it's just super fun. And one thing I've learned about racing over the past couple weeks, especially after this two-day event and who I was with and who some of my friends are, I'm sure you guys know who you are. Sometimes racing is about who you're actually racing with and the fun that you're having and not the results that you are getting. And that's where I'll get to like my first thing. I ran and rave about the Losis, how there's really not a lot of new people here, and that is true. Like if we look at the actual finishing grid from yesterday, you're going to see the Carpies guys, which a lot of you guys are buying your wraps off of, and a lot of like big name guys. A lot of these guys have been racing and they're still racing and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And these people were working feverishly on their Losi NASCARs, trying to make them faster. We'll talk about some of that stuff here in the video. So it might not have actually grown new people around my area locally, but what it did was it's made all of these people just enjoy RC racing yesterday. The Losi NASCAR race was insane. It was super fun to watch. All these people that are super serious racing all of these crazy oval classes, the amount of work that goes into like one of these like trucks, like my sportsman truck, and everything else is just incredible. And then you see them out there laughing and smiling and having fun with the Losi NASCAR, which is amazing. And that's the fun that I have with the TT02. And it's kind of fallen off a little bit, and the Losis kind of replaced it. But numbers are still kind of there. So I'm going to get back into that definitely locally and try to get things going. We also might have a new car coming to the channel, which is very exciting as well. So if you head on over to the Losi NASCAR group on the Facebooks, you'll see, all kinds of garbage and stuff like that, but you'll still see a lot of people talking about doing water break-in and all that kind of stuff. And I saw a lot of that going on yesterday, for sure. People were putting the amount of time into the car that was insane. Some people said that they couldn't believe that they were putting this much time into their car. That's not what they get it, but they wanted to win and they were having a blast, which is amazing. So some people had jigs set up and this and that and everything else. I will put my video up here on how I did it. It's just as effective for new people that don't have all of the doohickeys and power supplies and all the shit that I have, 1S batteries, this and that. Watch that. You'll get your stuff taken care of. Pretty amazing to see how dirty some motors are and how clean some were. So it's very weird. We obviously know there's a lot of variability in the motors. One thing that is undeniable, I saw it firsthand with my buddy Scott. He literally shaved off 2/10 of his time by doing some water break-in type of stuff. And then, of course, using a 3-in-1 lubrication that we like to use on our brush motors. It is this stuff off of Amazon. I will put a link to it down below. And I showed you in that video how and where to do that. Having this 3-in-1 with a little bit of the PTFE, like it just kind of soaks in a little better and kind of stays there and also protects stuff from getting in. So highly recommend that. So the water break-in thing and the cleaning of the motor and all that stuff is very good. I would definitely recommend, if you want to spend an extra few bucks too, to pick up another motor and try it out and see which one is faster. Don't do all this stuff though until you've actually went through your car. And that kind of brings me to the next point, is that there's a lot of bearing games going on out there, which is totally fine. I would, if you're into this and you want to be a competitive and run it really fast, you're going to have to play the bearing game. I've seen, some tracks allow you to rip seals off of them, some don't, this and that. And there's really no way to tech bearings per se. So there's tons of companies out there that sell aftermarket type of bearings. I would always recommend SOLDERING bearings because they are just the best in my opinion. So I would hit up my boy Andy and pick yourself up some of the bearings there at SOLDERFast.com, and you will see the kit. Granted, they're going to be pricey, but if you want to go fast and you want to take this car serious, I can't get anybody to bend the rules and let us start using our radios and upgrading these cars and stuff yet. But if they're going to let you do bearings and start teaching people how to wrench on cars, then that is one way to do it for sure. Now, the other thing was a battery type of stuff. So a lot of people, of course, are using the Spectrum type of chargers here. I'll have links to these down below as well. And I know a couple of you guys have mentioned that you did purchase the charger and the required IC3 to IC2 adapter cable that you're going to need. I definitely appreciate that. This is going to allow you to charge your batteries at a higher speed, put a little bit of extra heat into them. It's going to allow you to see what's going on with your internal resistance so you can see which battery is technically better than the next. The lower IRs typically will be better. Maybe they don't last as long on the track. I've seen people doing some crazy races, 100 laps, 150 laps. I've even heard of a 2-hour race where they were pulling over their cars and changing batteries and putting them back out there on the track. So people are getting really creative with how to race these cars. That is for sure. Now, the bad thing about the Spectre batteries is literally as soon as you unplug them, they are going to start actually discharging themselves. So a good thing to do before you go out on the racetrack is to unplug the battery, plug it back in, and get a little bit of peak off of it. I've seen people rigging up their $300 and $400 iChargers with these batteries as well, and peaking them off even higher and getting that extra couple thousandths or a couple hundredths, even tenth of a volt can be a huge thing. Just ask me how I know, because I got burned about it yesterday. Now, if your track allows it, definitely consider picking up a LiPo warmer. The Exalt ones are the ones that I use. They're USB-C. You just plug them into any kind of iPhone battery type of charger thing and plug them in. They have 3 different power settings: high, medium, and low. The low setting, if you put your battery in there, you can also fit 2 of them at one time in one of these bags. The low setting is going to put your battery more than likely around 92, 93 degrees with my temp gun. And the roar legal limit at most tracks for running a battery is 90 degrees. So the extra heat and everything will definitely take care of your batteries and make your car run faster. So that's definitely one thing to do. Don't forget that you're probably going to need some kind of a LiPo bag as well, because most tracks won't even allow you to charge or anything like that. If you want to get a little bit of extra heat without spending this kind of money, get yourself a larger LiPo bag or one of the BATSAFE type of deals that I store my LiPos in, and just stuff it all inside there. Cut a little hole in the back of the LiPo bag so you can run your power cord out of there. And then the fan and the heat and everything that's coming off the charger will kind of warm everything up inside there a little bit. So it's a little hack to get you a little bit of heat and everything else, but it's a lot easier just to have everything laying out and put the LiPo in the heater, stuff it all inside the LiPo bag, and just let it do its thing. So a lot of people were asking me about how I like the shocks and the fluid that I did, and I liked it. It worked good for my car. But the shot, you're going to have to really figure out what oils work with what grip levels you're working at. So the oil in the shocks, I found that my car runs a lot better with the lighter weight oil. So, and especially the big thing I did in the last video I did, I'll put a link up here that shows you how to bleed the shocks and everything properly, but then not tighten that cap all the way down, because when you tighten that cap, it really compresses those O-rings in there and it can create a little bit more resistance on your shock, so things are not moving properly. So definitely check that out, or just back your things off a little bit while you're bleeding them. People bleed their shocks again before every heat because getting any kind of air inside these things, you're going to start to create instability. And yesterday, where we had 133 entries and just thousands of laps on the track, traction became a huge problem. People kept on gluing and gluing and gluing over and over the wall of the tire. And I mean, during the 2-day event, I literally had a bead of glue on the outside top edge of my tire that was the same height as the actual bow in the tire that you get after running these things for a little bit, because they're not belted and they kind of like expand and break themselves, you know, down a little bit, and everything's kind of stretching. So some tracks allow you to use like tape on the outside of the wheel, which is another big thing, that you can actually use some kind of vinyl or electrical tape on the outside 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch of the wheel, whatever you need to keep that right side from gripping so much and pulling the car up on 2 wheels. The flatter you can keep these cars, the better, whether it be by staggering using heavier oils or adjusting spring collars or whatever else you have to do. I wish there was like a one size fit all setup that I could recommend to you guys, but I've seen people's cars perform by doing nothing to them. I've seen people's cars not perform by doing everything to them, like my own, so on and so forth. I will say that all the things that I did with the motor and the shocks and everything else, that during our 2-day event, my car ran the best that it ever has. So with the new ESC, all that kind of good stuff, everything just kind of started clicking together with my Losi NASCAR, and I was as happy with it as I have ever been. So they come out with a new kit. So we'll see what 2025 brings with these cars. Maybe they'll bring out like a kit with a clear body that you get to choose from, and then you can paint it up yourself, wrap it yourself, do any of that kind of stuff that you want to do. So definitely pick and choose how you want to spend your money on this car. I think if you want to really race this car a lot and you're enjoying it, then I think you should go ahead and invest some money into it where the rules and stuff on your certain tracks allow. It's not a bad thing to start getting people to get out of the mindset of just a $190 car. I would like for things to open up. I would love to have like a modified brushed class where we would use like a 30 amp Hobbywing ESC. We could use our own remote and then throw in like a Traxxas 21 turn motor into it to get an extra 3 or 4 miles per hour out there. Kind of equalize the playing field because those motors are very strong. They've been around for a while. Still do all the crazy fun stuff to squeeze all the little extra power out of them if we want to. And it's actually, I believe, cheaper than the Losi motor. And again, they're going to last a lot longer. So maybe we'll see things like that happen. But for right now, I'm happy to see that everybody is still enjoying themselves and loving it. And I'm going to turn my attention to my other cars and stuff like that. I'm going to be heavily involved still in watching what's going on with the scene. I'll be checking out all the stuff at the track. So if I see some winning combination or something that someone else has found out that they're doing, believe me, I will let you guys know. We'll try it ourselves and see how things go. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Peace.